Hi, welcome to Paranormal Kativity. Today I want to discuss EVPs, exactly what they are and how you can use them in your own kind of spirit communication. If you're not into Ouija boards but you still like ghosts, it's a good option. EVPs are electronic voice phenomenon, and they're also a form of instrumental transcommunication. Friedrich Jurgensen is usually noted as the person who discovered EVPs. How he figured this out was he was studying birds in their native habitats, which are outdoors, and he was recording them, and while he was reviewing some of his bird footage, he heard a man speaking to him. So this went on to make everything in his life a little more centered around this. He ended up writing a book on the subject, and so a lot of people know his name in regard to EVPs. Thomas Edison actually had a lot of thoughts about EVPs before they were even a thing. While he never came out and said his beliefs on ghosts or the afterlife or anything about that, because he was very open about saying nobody here knows for sure, which I agree with, and I am paraphrasing. Basically what he was trying to say was that if there was a way for us to speak to an energy that's already passed on from here in another dimension or another realm, that there would be a much easier way for us to do it than what was popular at the time, which was spiritualism activity. So he seemed to think that table tipping and Ouija boards and hearing raps and knocks were kind of like fringe science for that time period already. So he was like, if there's a way to do it, we will be able to make a device where that communication would be much easier. Now, a lot of times whenever you have EVP evidence, it's hard for some people, especially coming from a more skeptical point of view, to really get how EVPs work and how good that evidence actually is, because if you're not in that environment when it happens, it could be easily dismissed as, oh, well, somebody's speaking in the other room, somebody's talking, and that's what you're hearing. But to be in that environment when you actually catch something would be a totally different experience, and I feel like that is a big divider when it comes to understanding what EVPs are and the validity of them. So where do the voices come from? It's a big question. Some people believe that ghosts are just nearby and they're speaking out loud. Some people feel that it's energy manipulation. I feel like that's probably more likely as to what it is, because when we're not in a human body, we don't have vocal cords. We don't have the ability to speak. And a lot of times whenever people are in those environments getting those EVP recordings, a lot of them they can't hear with their own ears. So it's a very popular belief that the energies that make up this ghost or spirit or apparition are manipulating the electromagnets inside of the recorders or the cameras and imprinting them with a voice. This also kind of goes along with the fact that a lot of times whenever people are trying to get proof and evidence of spirits, that it'll drain energy around them. Whether it be human energy, people will just feel weird or not feel good, or sometimes you'll actually have electronic equipment lose their power. It can usually help them to make the impression on the electromagnets within the recording devices a little bit easier. So sometimes that's where that pull and push comes from, because for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. That's kind of the reaction from that activity. There's also a theory that the individual themselves who's actively in that investigation are acting as a medium, and therefore they are channeling that energy to be able to make it appear and manifest for other people. I feel like that's a little less legitimate, just because how do you explain the EVPs that happen when you have a recorder in an empty room and no one's there? Some people feel like they also can manipulate existing sounds, and that's how they're able to manifest. So another way that people get EVPs that tends to be very easy is through different forms of white noise, because that is easily manipulated, according to some, to be able to make these voices clearer and easier to hear. The best proof of EVPs, in my opinion, is intelligent response. I feel like that is the best EVP proof that there is. There's also residual hauntings, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with. So if it's something that's just doing its thing on its own, completely unaware that you are there, you might catch something in that regard also, but I really feel like the intelligent responses tend to be the best, most solid form of EVP evidence. There are 3 different forms of EVP recording. There's video loop instrumental transcommunication, which is abbreviated as ITC, which I will use from now on because that's a mouthful. So, video loop ITC is caught in regular recording audio. So that could be like the audio on my camera here, your camera phone. It could be a digital recorder. Anything that just records audio and it's picked up naturally, that is considered video loop ITC. There is transform EVP ITC, which is formed in audio frequency and fluctuation in that. If you get your EVP through a ghost box that's cycling through a lot of different frequencies and you can hear one voice consistently through multiple frequencies through that ghost box, that would be one of the ones considered to be a transform EVP ITC. See, I told you it's a mouthful for these. This could also be done through static on like a TV or even a static radio station. The third category is moving water ITC. And this one is using naturally formed white noise, such as running water. You can also use a fan, something that's more natural, still causing a white noise effect. I'm sure wind would probably be considered in that as well. I've decided to do something a little different. I don't know how well this will work because I do not feel that my house is haunted. I feel like there are energies that come and go around me from time to time, but I don't feel like my house is haunted. I'm going to conduct my very first ever EVP session to see if I get anything, and that way if I do, it'll be in a video that you guys get to see and experience too. Is there anyone here with me today? Do you have a message for me? How old are you? Do you have any last thoughts or words for me before I go? I just tried my first EVP session. Let's see what the F happens. I had a fan running the entire time, so if you guys caught any EVPs throughout this video, please tell me about them because I want to hear them too. There are some amazing EVPs in my opinion that I've found and heard that are just fascinating, which I will try and link to. I hope you have a great day and I will talk to you again very soon. Bye!